Dinosaur. Dinosaur man.
Where'd he come from? 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 Where'd he come from?
Dinosaur man.
Hello and welcome to Dinosaur Man News and Reviews. Slight change of programming this week as Andy is away. We had some recording issues yesterday when we were trying to put this together, so I've taken it upon myself to keep up the tradition of once a week, and this is your Alex-only episode of News and Reviews, so if that means that the 100% of the reason that you actually listen to this is gone, then you may want to just skip over this one. Anyway, thank you for joining me. This is strange. I've done it once before last year, and this is equally as strange as it was before. No nonsense though, because obviously we all know that Andy is the one who contributes 100% of the nonsense to the podcast. So this is going to be perfect and just all of the facts, none of the chaff. Right, so I guess news... Sorry, this is really weird. Right, reviews first of all. Well, not reviews first of all. News first of all, but reviews. What have we got coming up today, Alex? Well, I'll tell you what we've got coming up today, Alex. We have reviews of Raya and the Last Dragon, which is on Disney Plus now, and the other thing that I saw this week, The Banishing, which is on Shudder. But before that, we have to go over to news. Before that, there would normally be video game news, but guess what? Andy's not here, so I'm not going to do that. So just regular news now. Cruella. So recently released Cruella. It's done very well at the box office. Apparently a sequel is now in the works. I mean, surely a sequel to Cruella is 101 Dalmatians, but I guess maybe not. There's a lot of time to fill in between the two films. So, you know, the numbers for Cruella have been very good, very positive. Disney Plus Premier Access numbers have reportedly been very good, according to insiders at Disney. So it's not really a surprise. It's been very well reviewed by the people who've seen it, and you know the audience seems to like it. I may well catch it at some point in the next coming weeks. But you know, this is the way of the world. You're going to have live action versions of all of these things, and you know, if something makes money and if something does well for you, then why not make a second one? Right, what else have we got? Rob Zombie. So Rob Zombie is finally directing the Monsters movie that he's been chasing for 20 years. So this is being produced through Universal's straight-to-DVD division, basically. That's not a slam on him. That's just the facts. It's the particular wing it's being developed under is a wing that works on sort of home release stuff. So you would imagine this is going to go straight to streaming. Interesting choice, I guess. I mean, you know, he's someone who's got a huge love of the source material, so that's probably a good thing. But at the same time, it's going to be very hard to make some kind of incest storyline surrounding the monsters. But hey, if anyone's going to do it, Rob Zombie's your guy. Jonathan Majors, who we like a lot, was in The Five Bloods last year, was also in that boxing movie that I saw. Anyway, doesn't really matter. Boxing movie, what was it called? Jungle Land, there we go. This is why Andy should be here. He needs to fill these gaps. Jonathan Majors will be the new opponent in Creed 3. So this is the forthcoming Creed 3. I think it was due for release 2022 still, which is going to mark Michael B. Jordan's directorial debut. So that's, I mean, you know, early discussions still apparently with Jonathan Majors to play the villain. Or the, not villain, but, you know, adversary, I suppose. Aquaman 2. Andy loved Aquaman the first. I've grown to appreciate it since watching Zack Snyder's Justice League. So Aquaman has got a new title, which is Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, according to a Instagram post posted by James Wan, who has a production meeting thing on his laptop, and it says Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. So that, I believe, is scheduled for 2023, maybe. We will see. The other things that we didn't do were there was a trailer for Reminiscence, which I haven't seen, so Andy was going to pick up the slack on that. He can do that when he comes back. And sadly, they've announced that they're doing a Kraven the Hunter solo movie, and they've also announced the casting is incorrect because they've cast Aaron Taylor Johnson due to his work on Bullet Train. This is very sad because obviously we all know Tim Allen was the perfect casting for that. This is being produced by Avi Arad. I didn't see any involvement from the articles I was reading from Amy Pascal, which is slightly strange, but I don't know what they're planning on doing with this character. You'd imagine that he's going to feed into the, whatever they're going to call it, the extended Spider-Verse. Look, I like Aaron Taylor Johnson. I don't know. This character has been problematic in the past, and I'm sure they'll try and sort of dodge around some of the more problematic elements of his character. We will see. We will see. And then there was one other final thing that I was going to talk about that I absolutely have blanked on now, so I'm going to presume that it's not important. Anyway, well, not only have we got 2 reviews of movies this week for you, we also have a couple of, we have one new segment, I guess, because Disney Plus, their new Marvel series has started this week, so it's time for the rolling out of another theme tune / jingle, Loki Lowdown. I'm sure I will commit more to that next week. This is strange. No one likes this. So, Loki is the new Disney Plus series. I think it's 6 episodes. We've had the first, and will be released weekly, I think, on Wednesdays. So, starring Tom Hiddleston as Loki, reprising his role, sort of picking up from the events of Avengers Endgame, which sort of means that it's a 2012 Loki, from what I remember, 2013 Loki, maybe. So, it sort of takes the character and removes a lot of the stuff that then happens to him in the future installments of the MCU, and just plonks him out of that into this sort of time travel thing, where he is apprehended by the TVA, who are sort of the police of time, who have basically said to him, hey, you're out of place here, this isn't supposed to happen, why are you now here? Well, plead your case and all this. Interesting. Well, it is and it isn't, I think. I think in terms of the action, in terms of the actual story, it feels very placeholder Marvel to me. I'm sure Andy will wholeheartedly disagree with me. It feels quite placeholdery Marvel. It feels like there's not particularly all that much to it. But then again, it's the first episode, I'm sure. The problem is, it probably feels the most Marvel of all the things that I'd seen of these series, and I'm fine without that. What I would say is the production design, and I'm presuming they aren't doing this on the sort of Mandalorian everything's fake stage, but even so, the production design and the score are great. I really like them, and sort of it gives off a sort of, it does a really good job of giving off a very 1970s sci-fi movie vibe, which I really like that about it. So I can't, I'm not going to say that it's without any merit, because I think those aspects are really good. Natalie Holt has done the music for it, and the production design was done by Kazra Farahani. I think, yeah, just really, really good on those counts. The other thing I'd say is, it's kind of interesting because you've got Owen Wilson as sort of the agent who is responsible for, talking to Loki and trying to put him to use for the time cops, for want of a better word. And I quite like the fact that Owen Wilson kind of feels like he doesn't fit into Marvel, and yet here he is in a Marvel thing. And that's good, I guess. I'm fundamentally not interested in this. I probably won't go back for another episode because, score and production design aside, I don't think there's anything in this for me. But I'm sure Andy will be watching it and he'll give us a Loki lowdown every week going forward. Now, reviews. We've got reviews of, what did I say we had? The Banishing, first of all. So The Banishing is on Shudder at the moment. I believe it was picked up as a Shudder original, from what I can tell. So this is directed by Christopher Smith and tells the story of a young vicar who moves with his family into a haunted manor house, essentially, with his young family, and sort of spooky goings on are related to it, and things start going bump in the night. I mean, the problem with it is that Christopher Smith's a director I think he's made some good work in the past, and I think Creep is a good movie, and what am I thinking of? Triangle is also a very good, I think there's a lot more going on in those films than there is here. So the shame of it is that it kind of just feels like it's very surface level, and it's very, this family are terrorized by, or this woman is terrorized by these sort of ghosts of the past and all this. And it all feels a bit sort of, it feels very, for want of a better word, it feels quite basic in terms of the way it's put together and the way that they've structured it. And I think maybe there's a more interesting story to tell. It's not I don't think it's an interesting psychological horror movie or anything like that. I think it's fairly by the numbers, and I found it really quite bland and uninteresting in that regard. It's a shame because he is someone who is capable of good work. Severance is a good movie, Triangle's a good movie, and I think there's a lot to like about Creep as well. But yeah, I mean, it's a shame because I think there's probably, I imagine there's probably a better, there's probably a better version of this movie, but I feel like if you've seen a haunted house movie before, you've kind of seen this movie before. It doesn't do anything groundbreaking, doesn't do anything particularly new or exciting, and as a result, you just end up kind of feeling a bit, I don't know, flat with it. Would not recommend, but it is on Shudder. Yes, sorry, I completely forgot where it was again. It's on Shudder, so if you are a Christopher Smith completist, then by all means you can go and find it there. But I wouldn't be rushing out to do so. And then finally this week, so it's just released on Disney Plus without payment, but it was on there from, I think it was February onwards as Premier Access, and then has been available to rent, and simultaneously is currently available in cinemas as well, Raya and the Last Dragon. So this is from the Disney Animation Wing. So tells the story of a sort of realm of the world known as Kamandra, where hundreds of years ago, the humans who inhabited it lived in harmony with dragons, and the dragons then fought to save them from a sort of otherworldly threat or something called the Droon. The dragons sacrificed themselves, And then Raya, our sort of protagonist here, she is now on a mission to try and recover fragments of a sort of gemstone that was broken years ago, in order to try and revive the last dragon and unite the kingdoms once again. I think there's a lot to like about this movie. I think it tells a good story. I think it's done really well. I think the performances are really fun, and ended up laughing a lot more at it than not at it, but with it than I thought I would. I mean, it's kind of refreshing just to see a story that doesn't just feel like. I mean, there's a few hallmarks of sort of traditional Disney stories in that, this young girl is related somehow to the bloodline of the ruler of a kingdom, and, so you could say it technically falls under the sort of Disney princess thing. But I feel like there's a lot more in terms of just it trying to build up these characters as really interesting individuals, or, very defined individuals on their own right. And yeah, I mean, I think it's a good-hearted film. I think it gets the job done, and I think the performances are, really good. And, the thing is, with Disney, that you're going to get a high standard of animation regardless. And, sure enough, here you are watching it and you're going, wow, this really is, quite incredible, the stuff they're doing. So, yeah, I would recommend. It is available on Disney Plus now for no additional charge. So, I mean, I can see this being a big hit with the kids. It's certainly done well enough for itself, even though it's been available digitally as well. I know it's had a good run in the cinemas as well. So that sort of shows that, there's something to it in terms of, there are people who are interested in going to see it. And I fully believe that that's also to do with the fact that people want to go back to the cinemas, and this is something that is, family fare and will appeal to a family, of all ages. So, yeah, I think, I would recommend. It is, it's available on Disney Plus, so, you don't even have to leave the house for it now. But, if you feel happy to go to the cinema, you feel comfortable doing so, then by all means do so. Yeah. Well, that's it for this week, I think. Look, I know it's been a weird one, but we just kind of wanted to make sure that we were still putting something out this week. It always feels a bit odd if we just skip a week completely. So, as always, you can find us on Facebook, on iTunes. You can tweet at us at DinosaurMan15. Everyone else, we're just Dinosaur Man or Dinosaur Man Podcast. Johnny News did the theme song. This time it was very good, all that. Made it sound like a space thing from the 1970s, like I said earlier. Andy hasn't been the host this week, but you know what? I'm going to say it. He's the host in spirit. And if you're listening, Andy, we miss you. We'll get you back next week. He's got an episode that he's going to have to do for us next week that is all him. So, fair is what I would say. Then back to news and reviews the week after that, and that'll be both of us in the same room, all being well. As always, that's it. I don't really have a sign-off. It's difficult to do a sign-off, so I'm just going to say it now. Bye, guys. See you next week.
Dinosaur